Welcome to Getting Down to Business. I'm Ashley Curtis, Career Counselor and Internship Coordinator with the MUMA College of Business.
And I'm Jill Brown, Career and Academic Advisor as well. And we are your hosts for this business podcast, bringing you timely career conversations.
Today we have with us USF Investment Club President Gabriel Mocelin, here to discuss how and why joining the investment club can expand your career opportunities. Gabriel, I'll let you introduce yourself.
My name is Gabriel Mocelin. I'm currently a rising junior at the MUMA College of Business, double major in finance and quantitative economics and econometrics. And it's such a pleasure to be here today and speak a little bit more about the Student Investment Club.
We're excited to have you. Welcome.
And
Thank
thanks
you.
for taking time out of your double major busy schedule. You also work full-time?
Yes, I'm doing a full-time internship right now in the summer.
Wow. Okay. Excellent. Well, we're going to jump in. Do you have a favorite quote or mantra that you use to inspire or keep you moving when times get tough?
Yeah, I actually do. It's one that I keep with myself since high school. It's from Kobe Bryant, which is fell in love with the journey and not the destination, right? So what that means is if you enjoy what you're doing every day and if you're passionate about, it's just a matter of taking the process and then you get to the destination and you will feel accomplished and you keep doing that throughout life and you for sure find success.
I love that. Focus on the process. We have a word association game. Jill and I are going to take turns asking and giving you a word. First thing that comes to mind when you hear the word, go ahead. So
Perfect.
I'm going to start. Adaptable.
College.
Entrepreneur.
Think our career.
Okay. Success.
It's what you make it.
Last one, leadership.
Can be developed for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. We'll
Those are
probably
really
dig back
good.
in some of those. But
Yeah.
all right, cool. Thanks for playing. We
For
want to
sure.
get down to business and take a dive into the investment club. Please
Let's do it.
tell our listeners what it's all about.
Yeah, for sure. So the Student Investment Club is the premier finance organization at the USF and also in Florida right now. We're the largest investment club in all Florida. We have almost 1,200 members as of today, which is truly exciting because beginning of fall 2021, we only had 320 members. So we had an exponential growth throughout the past semester through all of our events and all the opportunities that we provide to the students. And basically, the investment club is composed of four main teams. So we have our investment team, our research team, the growth team, and as well as our operation team. And the operational team and the investment team were added throughout this past year. So they're new ventures and they are doing super well, which is super amazing. And it's definitely one of the most important experiences so far in my college career that have assisted me to, land an internship and make sure I'm putting good things for those who helped me out before, and passing forward that experience, that information that was given to me.
What do you think is responsible for that exponential growth that you spoke about, the 3 to 1,200?
Yeah, I definitely think, walk your talk. We like to say that, right? So if you do good events, if you bring great banks, if you bring great speakers, people speak about, people will then tell others and it will be organic growth, right? But also we have take a step of brand awareness with the club. So we have rebranded the whole image of the club, doing more simple Instagram posts, LinkedIn posts. And by doing that, I think we're really able to showcase how professional the club has become and how we have progressed from an organization that started back in 2016 to something that is now well known in all the Florida region. And we know that there are many other investment clubs that reach out to us and speak with us, and it's super, we're super grateful for the opportunity.
I love that.
I think we may need to employ Gabriel to help us grow our audience and leader. Yeah.
I love that. So who can join the investment club?
The investment club is open for anybody, undergrad and graduate students of any majors. So if you have a passion for investing, if you have a passion for finance, if you have a passion for anything that relates to, economy, the investment club is a place for you. And we definitely think we have provided that opportunity to all these people because we have many successful examples of people that came from the public health side of college, that came from engineering, that came from arts and sciences and ended up getting careers in finance and have become really successful. So it's definitely awesome that we have so many different people because it also bring different perspectives to the club. which we think is important, because when you're doing all these different things, especially when you're doing the equity research with the investment club, you need to have some understanding of the industry, and those people that study in healthcare, they understand a little bit better when they're doing healthcare research on these companies. So they can understand their business model, they can understand the way that they approach the customers, the way they develop those drugs. And that's super important when you're investing, right? You want to understand the company, not the stock, which is something that we really pointed out. Because in the end of the day, all these companies are businesses, and if they're not a good business, they're not going to be a good investment. So we find it super important to bring that diversity of vision to the club, because it really assists students to develop a different type of vision when they're looking at these companies.
Now, you just mentioned 4 different groups, and I kind of want to dive into that really quick. So, as members, is there a selection process, or how do you, do I join and become a member, and then once I'm a member, I decide I want to join the research team, or how does that process work?
To become a member, you just go to Bulls Connect and you become a member. By doing that, you receive our bi-weekly emails that we send it out with information about the market, information about internship opportunities, information about internal process of the club and all of our events. With that, you can stay up to date whenever we open the applications for our different teams. So the teams throughout, the past year and a half, 2, have become much more competitive, which is super awesome because we have seen the growth. And basically, we have processes about 3 to 4 months before the semester starts. So usually for spring 2023, we're going to start the process around September, October for the equity research team and the investment team. And this process is basically an application on Google Forms that you submit, share a little bit about why do you want to join the team, and answer a couple of technical questions that we provided to the students just to get a feeling of what they understand and how interested they are on that. And after that, after reviewing resumes, after reading the questions, we decided to move further for an interview with the student. So this process of interview is usually done by the head of the team. So we had our head of research and our head of investments, and they perform the interviews. And me as a president, and also our vice president, Tim, usually jump in on the ones that we can fit in our schedule and assist with, just engaging with the students and understanding better what they're looking for. Also, it's super important for us to know, how they can assist us, but also how can we assist them, right? That's the most important point of the club. We want to set up the students for a successful career, and we want to assist them develop skills that sometimes are not really well developed in school or in classes. So we definitely think it's a great opportunity, and the process, it's pretty straightforward, and it's just a matter of you looking at the application. If you don't know the questions, no problem, you can Google it and you can ask a friend. But just putting the effort into that is super important to us, and you can see when somebody put the effort into writing the essay and replying to those questions.
So speaking of effort, I'm curious, what type of time commitment should students expect?
For equity research team, we expect about 2 to 3 hours a week.
Okay.
And that's the equity research team will be producing bi-weekly equity research reports on their specific sector. And that's about 1 page on a Word doc that they need to fill out some information. So a lot of that comes from, researching, catching up with their team, seeing who is going to do what. And usually we try to do an exchange in the process, right? So sometimes people do the metric analysis. Sometimes they write the rationale, which is nice because you see the different perspectives of researching that company. And for our investment team, which is a little bit, it goes a little bit further into the research. What they do is they do research on certain stocks, and they prepare a slide deck presentation. Mm-hmm. And they have the opportunity to present that in front of the investment committee, which is composed of all the executive board. And also, we bring guests from the industry. So we had the opportunity to bring a vice president from the private equity firm that I work at, Nicholas Kodati, to a couple of our investment committee presentations. And he was able to, hear the students and give feedback from them. And this is a person that has half a decade of experience in the finance industry. So it's definitely super, super helpful for the students to hear from a professional as well.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, hands-on experience
For sure.
Throughout the entire process of the investment piece.
Yeah, for sure, because you get to sit down, get to do the research, you get to do the analysis. After that, you need to
Formulate it into a strategy,
exactly
do the
right,
presentation.
which is super important, and
Mhm.
you need to have good written skills, right, to
Mhm.
put in the presentation, showcase that accurately. But also, you need to have good verbal skills, right? You need to be
Right.
able to speak accurately, be concise, be direct, so you provide the rationale behind that investment, right? Because these investment professionals want to go straight to the point and understand what they're looking at.
And field some questions, I'm sure.
Yes.
Tough questions. So it's the critical thinking as well piece. So
Yeah, for
this
sure.
is great. Ooh, that triggered another question though. This club spans all 3 USF campuses, correct? Any student.
So yes, we are open to any students. We actually have just joined with a venture of one of our members that goes here to the Tempe
Mhm.
campus, and he's actually spearheading the investment club on the Tempe campus because we do understand that sometimes there are difficulties in transportation. It's about like a 40-minute drive to USF without traffic, right? To USF Tampa from Tempe. So we definitely think it's important to have the opportunity for these people that go to different campuses to have a community within their campus, but also we are all the same club.
Mhm.
So we encourage them to come to our events. We encourage them to be part of the teams. But we definitely think it's nice to have a community within your campus where you can meet and maybe study for a class together and you have the thing in common, which is the investment club.
Exactly.
I love that.
I want to ask, because you already prefaced this, events and activities. Would you mind maybe speaking about some of the specific bigger events or things that you're most proud of
Yeah.
that have attracted either some top name employers as well as bringing in the students?
This past year, we had our recruiting events, which is basically we bring one of the major finance companies to the club, and they get a chance to speak about their firm, get a chance to speak about their culture and the opportunities that they have open. So this year we had Raymond James, we had Star Mountain Capital, we had J.P. Morgan, we had Goldman Sachs, we had Citibank and Franklin Templeton, which was an awesome experience to give a broad range of companies for people to
Definitely,
speak with.
Yeah.
definitely.
And I believe that the most part event so far this year was for Goldman Sachs because we were able to bring them to the campus a second time, which we were one of the only schools in the country that they came a second time
Wow.
in the spring semester. And that was after about 2 months of following up and back and forth with the recruiter and trying to convince them that would be a good opportunity. And with that, we were able to collab with about 9 organizations. So we invite all these organizations to join us for this event because in the end of the day, it's not a competition. We're all benefiting from each other.
Mhm.
And we definitely think it's super important to provide this opportunity to other people that maybe don't have a further understanding of finance and might enjoy it, right? So this event we were able to do at the MUMA Atrium at Tampa, and we had more than 230 people at the event. So
Awesome.
That's
it was the
awesome.
biggest event we had in the whole year, and we had 9 Goldman Sachs employees there, and they were all super impressed with the event. And I heard
9.
directly for the recruiter that was one of the best events that they had in this year in the U.S.
So you also had to organize the event, do any kind of food vendors. I mean, it's not just the
Yeah.
finance side, but also now hospitality.
Yeah, that's correct. There's a lot that go into that, and that's why we decided to create the operations team, right?
Okay.
We found super important to get a help with that because these events take a lot of time, a lot of communication. We need to get the space, we need to rent the chairs and the tables and the mic and the podium.
Right.
We need to buy the food. We need to communicate with the USF College of Business people, parking, all those different things.
All the fun stuff.
Yes, exactly. It takes a lot of time, right?
It does.
So the operations team come as basically a right hand
Okay.
for all of our events and assisting us with everything that we're preparing.
So the event itself was open to any students interested in Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, that's right,
Gotcha.
because
Okay.
they came to recruit as a firm
Okay.
and they brought many different divisions.
Mhm.
So I think they have about 15 divisions to choose from. So all the students that have different interests could
Mhm.
work there. If you think about this is one of the biggest banks in the world, and they have I think $2.7 trillion of assets under management. So it's definitely a big corporation. It has offices in all different countries, and it's great because they have so many different aspects of the firm to provide to the students. So a lot of them didn't know that and felt interest about it.
Do you have statistics on internships or grads receiving job offers from that event?
From that event specifically, we don't.
Okay.
But from the investment club teams, which is the equity research team, the investment team, the operations team, and our growth team, We have a 75% placement rate for full-time and internship opportunities,
Woohoo!
which really showcase that this is, a next step for students that want to take a career in finance to be part of this, get hands-on experience and get exposure to all these different networking experiences.
Yeah.
Experience and exposure. I'm gonna.
I
go ahead
think
and
that's
tag
a
that.
testament to the work that you all are doing, and just I think why it's important to get involved with a student organization. Because I think in general, you look at, students who get internships have a higher level of placement after college, but then you put internships and student organizations, right? So the more involved and the more experiences you're accumulating, the more variety and wealth of knowledge that you are able to bring to an employer when you say, hey, I was a part of the student organization and I'm running the operations and I'm from start to finish, right? I'm contacting these vendors, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And so that's a lot to be able to bring to someone.
Yeah, no, for sure. I totally agree. I think from my experience and from all the people in the investment club that I have spoken with, these interviews with these firms usually go to that side, right? They want to know how was your experience at the club? What have you done? They actually want to see if you've done work, right? And with the investment club, there's work for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it can seem like a lot, but it provides you some tangible experience so it can provide to these employees. So when you share with them, they're like, wow, this person has actually done a lot of things and has accomplished a lot, right? So let me learn more about it. And this showcase soft skills, this showcase hard skills, this showcase many different things that these employees are looking for. So from all my interviews, I have interviews so far with JP Morgan, with Goldman Sachs, with Star Mountain, and all of them have been, most focus of the interview of the organizations that I'm part of, and asking what are the things they did there and how did I manage to accomplish those things and what are the steps, right? So it has been super, super insightful.
So tell us a little bit more about you. How did you become involved with the investment club?
I really enjoyed the way that it came to reality because I joined USF in August 2020, right? And that was the middle of the pandemic. USF was all locked down. A lot of people were online. And I was at home studying and I didn't have a lot to do besides that. So I reached out to a couple of organizations and actually reached out to the president at the time of the investment club, which his name was also Gabriel. And he was also Brazilian, just like me. So we had a couple of things in common. And I was like, hey, I'd love to, sit down and have like a 30-minute conversation with you. I researched about him, researched about the club, wrote a bunch of questions down that came to him. Questions, super holistic about USF classes, USF professors, about club experience, about many different things. And got a chance to speak with him. And I think he appreciated, me doing the research, me trying to create a bit more understanding of what the club done. So I applied to the equity research team and I joined as an equity research associate back in the spring of 2021. So after that, I did a semester and then I applied to the vice president role. And we had elections and I was chosen as a vice president. So throughout the past year, I was vice president of the club. And this year, super thankful to be the president of the club.
You've touched on it, and I don't know if you would like to maybe speak to any specific skills or if we just review for students, because there's so much, just the application and interview process that students will go through to join the club. I think that speaks to the professionalism and the steps that you would take anyway for an interview. And I like that practice in a sense in a more safe environment with your peers.
Right.
So that experience and that practice can be really useful. And what would you say top skills that a student can basically say, this is what, being a member of this investment club has done for me, like in their little personal portfolio, right?
From the members that I have spoken so far and all the great people that find accomplishments throughout, their time with the club, that being a full-time opportunity, that being an internship, they have all shared, a thing in common, which is tangible experience. And that can play out in many different ways, right? It always depends on what type of job you're looking for, what type of personality do you have. So some people are just more quantitative and they enjoy doing more research and doing more math and, really understanding about that aspect of research a company. So if they had tangible experience on that area, they're able to share that with employees, right? Some people are just more outgoing and they enjoy the selling point of, the pitch. And I think being able to develop the skills that you're strong at, super important, but also understanding the ones that you're not as good at and also improving them is super important. So for me, I didn't have any knowledge of investments when I joined the club. And it was super helpful for me because there was people that they were older than me. They had more experience. They maybe were seniors in college and I was a freshman. So it was super helpful for me to speak with them and just ask questions that maybe I wasn't, so good about asking some random student on campus, right? So I definitely think it's what you make out of it, and is the things that you look to improve within the club. I think those are the most important because in the end of the day, everybody's going to take different careers. Everybody's going to take different jobs. And for each job, there's a different aspect of it that you can be really good at. They'll set you up for success.
Very nicely said.
Yeah.
I feel like we've come full circle back to the journey, and every student's journey is going to look a little different.
Yes.
And the skills that they'll learn and grow and enhance will be based on their strengths, but also new experiences. So.
For sure.
Yeah. And so as we think about that journey and people think about what their journey will look like looking ahead in the finance industry, tell us, how can the investment club prepare students for a future in the finance industry?
Yeah, I definitely think being part of the club give a sense of fellowship. And what I mean with that is that if you reach out to somebody that was part of the club before, they will reply to you. So there's a lot of people out there and a lot of people that might have different experiences and different careers, and you really connect with your peers, right? So the sense of fellowship and just being able to speak about your opportunity and sharing that with somebody that was part of the club before, it can really connect you with them. A lot of alumni from the investment club are working at top banks, hedge funds, equity research funds, and it's super, super helpful when you're also part of the club when you reach out to them, right? Because they will remember when they were, doing equity research or investment team, and they're gonna share that same love and passion that you had to find a job that they had it before, and they'll connect with you. But I also think the networking experience with the employees is super important, right? So all these firms that we bring and the opportunity for you to go up to them and hand your resume out and do your elevator pitch, right? There isn't a lot of opportunities like that on campus. I know there's a couple of career fairs, but historically this past year they have been online, right? So being able to go in person in front of someone, shaking a hand, handing your resume, and just trying to hold a conversation, it's really good for you to practice that. So I definitely
More
think,
intimate setting
yeah,
too,
that,
versus a big, large career fair.
exactly, that's right. Like our recruiting events have anywhere between 50 to 100 people, and career fairs from the ones that I've been is like 100 to 300, 400 people, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like a competition at the career fairs.
Right.
Where there you were just trying to get to know the person, right? And trying to get a chance to have a call with them later, or trying to have a chance to do an interview with the company. So I definitely think this networking experience within the club itself, but also the employees that come to the club, is super, super helpful for these students to set them up successfully to a career in finance.
Thank you.
The finance family, that's what we will call it.
That's right.
If you had to give us your best pitch for why a student should join the investment club, what would it be?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. Never got asked that question. Usually, you pitch yourself, but not the club. But I definitely think it's, school is super important. But in the end of the day, everybody that goes to university is going to get a degree. Right. And you need to find things that set yourself apart from others. And again, the tangible experience. And I truly believe that within USF and also in Florida, there isn't any other organization that can provide that experience to students like ours. And I'm not saying that because I'm the president, but I'm saying that because of the great group of people that we have within the club. In the end of the day, I can never run this club alone, and I can't do all these things alone. And all the team that we have put together, they are super, super tailored group of students that can provide all these different, experiences and levels of knowledge to you, right? We get together, we do top golf events, we go out to a World of Beer sometimes to get a burger after the meeting. And you also get a chance, we had one of the speakers, Chris Bloomstrom. He's the Chief Investment Officer at Semper Augustus, which is a asset management firm. I think he has about $300 million of assets under management. And after the meeting that we had with him, that he, shared his experience with the club, went out for dinner with him, right? You get to bond, right? Which is super important. So it's good to talk about business. It's good to talk about, careers in finance, but it's also good to talk about yourself and things that you enjoy. And when you're a part of the club, you also get a chance to share your personal things and maybe, your hobbies and all those things. So I definitely think you create a sense of fellowship, again, with the students in the club, and you have all the opportunities in the world to speak with these many different firms and to speak with many different professionals that come and share their experience. And this year is going to be super exciting. We have many companies coming, and we also have our first speaker series event, which is going to happen on September 13th, 7 p.m. is a Tuesday, and we're going to have Leon Cooperman, which he was the founder of the Goldman Sachs asset management arm back in the 80s, and he now manages his own family office. He's a billionaire, and he's has a lot of experience in the finance industry, and it's just amazing to be able to speak with him and get a little bit of juice out of him, right? And learn a little bit more of him and
Some secrets.
Exactly what has set him up to be so successful, right? So I definitely think there isn't many clubs that are doing that at USF and in Florida, and just this experience is awesome. And again, it's free to all students. You don't need to like finance. You don't need to be a finance student to come. Just come, take a look, and if you enjoy it, feel free to come back.
You honed in on it as, you know, you were giving us your pitch. I think for me, I always come back to, I know I've said it before, but connections are currency. And building those relationships, having really strong relationships. I think, you know, we've had alumni on our podcast in the past. We will continue to have alumni. But the Muma College of Business has a really strong alumni network who are really eager to engage. And so tapping into that network, tapping into other connections, and, you know, being open to, you know, jumping outside of your comfort zone to make those connections, I think is really important.
And giving back. Everybody's just so willing and selfless in that sense, and I love it.
For
I love
sure.
sharing the knowledge. 2 final questions we ask
for sure.
all our guests. If you could just kind of go back to maybe first year and give yourself some advice, what would it be?
I would say speak with more people.
Okay.
And sooner. I definitely think that's the key point of college, right? Is to speak with people, get to know. I started as a civil engineering major, and soon enough I spoke with a couple of civil engineers and figured out that wasn't what I wanted to do. And I think it's super important. One of the things that I like a lot is not who you know, but who knows you, right?
Has he been talking to Justin with Enterprise?
Probably.
He said the same thing.
Yeah, I think it's super important. You can know as many people as you want, right? But if they don't know your name or who you are, it doesn't matter. So,
yeah. What is the best way for students to connect with you?
LinkedIn is always super helpful because that's a place that I know that people are coming to speak, either about college or work or the club. But also, Instagram. We have the Student Investment Club Instagram where we post all of our events. We also have the Student Investment Club on LinkedIn, and also have my personal LinkedIn as well, which I'm more than happy to speak with people.
All right. Well, this is going to wrap us up. And to our listeners, if you have a question or a topic you'd like us to address, please DM or comment on Instagram, Facebook. And you can always find our podcast, Getting Down to Business, on Spotify and Apple, at USF Tiedemann, at USF Muma, and we will be in your ear again soon.
That concludes another episode of Getting Down to Business, brought to you by the Kate Tiedemann School of Business and Finance in the Muma College of Business. Tune in every month for more career tips and expert industry advice.